Spurs, because Arsenal have agreed a deal worth £67.5 million to sign Eberechi Eze from Palace. They've taken a transfer away from their fierce rivals Tottenham, who are leading the race, of course, for the England international. Eze is still expected to play for Palace in their Conference League playoff against Fredrikstad tonight. Here's how a little bit of an extended cut of Jamie O'Hara, how he handled the news last night.
No, I'm disappointed in Tottenham. I'm disappointed. We should have had this deal done weeks ago. Should have had it over the line. Should have got it done as soon as we started the season. We should have had Eze in the team.
It's okay, Jamie.
And you know what? Serves us right. Serves Daniel Levy right.
Jamie.
Serves Spurs right. Because it's the same old Tottenham. It happens every single season. We're penny pinchers. Penny pinchers.
It's okay.
Every single season.
It's okay, Jamie.
And it's happened again. It's happened again. And we're going to miss out on a top quality player who's proven in the Premier League. Just pay the money and get the player over the line.
You're Newcastle of the South,
Joe.
Joe.
Maddison's done his ACL. Like, we needed Eze. We needed him. And it's an absolute joke that we are going to lose him out to Arsenal, of all teams, who are just going to waltz in, pay £60 million, which is what he's worth, and get the deal over the line in a couple of hours.
Let me ask you this now.
Joe!
That is why the Sports Bar is record-breaking, because it's absolutely blockbuster stuff. And for more on this, let's welcome in our very own, talkSPORT's very own, Sonny Snelling, the Spurs fan. Sonny, how you feeling, mate? I mean, I'd say I feel sorry for you, but is this just not a case of Eberechi Eze just signing for the bigger club?
You know what, guys? I've been better. I will say that I've been better, and I know I've come into that stage now. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I've been sent it now by lots of people at talkSPORT. I've already been clipped up and memed into Eze montages. I must be getting that big of a name in this sphere that I'm now being rinsed. But it's just typical Spurs. I'm not going to try and be as emotional as Jamie O'Hara there, but it is one of those things where you've got to sit back and think, it's happened again. I mean, Rory knows, Willian, Dibling, I mean, Sol Campbell. It's the history of Tottenham. Morgan Gibbs-White. I mean, I saw you, Max, the other day in the lift, didn't I? And said, it don't matter. We missed out on him, but we're getting Eze. I should have just kept my trap shut. But
mate,
yeah,
was that actually yesterday morning? I've got a feeling that was yesterday morning when all was looking bright and things are looking up for the Spurs. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely devastating. I mean, I don't know where you stand, Sonny, in the sort of like Levy out brigade, and I know that gathered a little bit of momentum. Where do you stand in that now, and do you think that that's going to sort of reach fever pitch this, after this sort of absolute clangor of missing out on Eze?
I mean, there's set to be another Levy out protest our next home game against Bournemouth, which is not this Saturday next. And I've always been highly critical of Daniel Levy, but I do understand how he has done a good job with the Spurs. When we look at how we've closed the gap financially, you could say, and how we've done it in maybe a more organic sense, and the stadium, the training ground. But the problem is, it sort of happens to be he puts 1 foot forward and then takes 2 massive steps back, because this had to be a statement signing. We were looking to make that move after, winning the Europa League, ending a 17-year wait for a trophy. You think back in the Champions League, a new manager, which we're all excited about in Thomas Frank. This would have been the move, as we're saying it now with Arsenal, to move that needle. With them, it moves the needle in the title race. With us, it moves the needle when it comes to potentially getting into the top 5 of Champions League, climbing our way back up the table. But with Daniel Levy, it is always, if he wants to, and he loves to try and dine at the top table, he wanted to be in the Super League, but to do that, you've got to spend more on wages, not, beat around the bush. The way we were trying to line this deal up in the end, even like chucking Richarlison and the kitchen sink at it, it just became a bit of a joke. And then Arsenal swooped in, offered what they wanted, the terms they wanted, and they've got the player. And at the end of the day, that's what big teams do. And I'm sad to say it, when it comes to Tottenham, we think we're acting like a big team, but we're not. It's champagne taste, beer money sort of thing.
So what's the answer here, Sonny? Like in terms of what's happened, we know the story. We've heard the ramblings and the upset of Jamie O'Hara. We know that Tottenham have let this one slip through the net. It was a tap in, and you managed to fumble it. How do you rectify this now? What's the answer, Johan Wissa? What is the answer?
It's really hard to say because what makes it even more funnier is another player we were linked with was Bilal Khannouss of Leicester, and now he looks like he's going to Crystal Palace to replace Eberechi Eze. So we're really running out of options. And I'll be honest, I think we've had quite a good summer when it comes to transfers so far. I think Mohamed Kudus looks like a snip now at 55 million. João Palhinha offers a bit more still in that midfield. But what really worries me is, I think it was 4 weeks ago, we missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White. 3 weeks ago, James Maddison did his ACL. We knew Dan Kulusevski was also injured. What we lack is, I think we're fine when it comes to goal scorers. It's just creativity. We're lacking so much in a creative sense. We've set up so far with a 3 at the back and a 4 at back, and our midfield looks strong when it comes to defensive-wise. But when it comes to, picking a pass and breaking down teams, we're still lacking so much in that number 10 role. So to me, you say Johan Visser there, I don't necessarily think we need another striker. If Richarlison hopefully carries on his good form to the start of the season, and
Sonny, what did you make of that? Just while you mentioned Richarlison, what did you make of the reports yesterday that he was being prepared to, he was being prepared as part of an Eze deal to go to Palace? I found that astonishing, considering it looked like he'd had his best game in a Spurs shirt against Burnley and against PSG off the back of a great PSG performance.
I thought it was quite bonkers because I think he was, I don't know how much we look into this, he was voted like the Premier League player of the match day of the first game week. And it's like, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth to a player that, I think there's a lot of, potential there with Richarlison. He can be on his day really good, but he's been let down by fitness. There were rumours that he could have left to Saudi Arabia and maybe a return to Brazil as well. But if he can keep that fitness up, he could be a great, starting striker or even a backup for Spurs. But to go out and maybe try and get Visser in, who's a similar age, and I know Thomas Frank would like to work under him. I don't know if it's maybe paper rumours or whatnot circulating, but to me, it just felt like if I'm Richarlison seeing that now, I'd feel very, very let down.
So, Sonny, I've got to ask you, do you think that this is just a case of Eze choosing a bigger club?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm not, I'm an honest Spurs fan. I won't be around the bush. Arsenal are a bigger club. I know they haven't won anything in 5 years or so. I can say that now after winning something last year.
Yeah. But you got some front. They haven't won anything for 5 years. You were 18.
I know, but still.
He has got a point. At least they have.
But what I will say is the way they're operating this summer is they're wanting to close that gap on Liverpool and City and Chelsea and try and really have a go in this title race.
But the problem is, Sonny, it should have never come to that, should it? That's what the problem is. You should have had this in the bag.
Where's the ruthlessness?
You should have had them signed up 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks before Kai Havertz was injured. 2 weeks before Arsenal knew that they were even in need of a player.
It's what we do, though. How many times has Daniel Levy, didn't he book, William was doing his medical. I think we booked a cab for Emmanuel Petit and then he turned up at, it just has always been the way that Tottenham just don't know how to operate. And, we call Levy a good businessman, but for some reason, when it comes to these tough negotiations, he doesn't seem to, I think, Pep Guardiola and Manchester City said when they dealt with the Kyle Walker transfer that it was like, pulling teeth, and it was one of the worst negotiations they've ever been in. I'm surprised we actually got a deal done for Mohamed Kudus, considering we hadn't done a deal with West Ham since Scotty Parker in 2011. I think when you look at it, he's a boyhood Arsenal fan. He obviously wants to play at the top level. Arsenal, I know I'm joking around, they haven't won anything, but they've been so consistent, second 3 years in a row. That at the moment does look like the better sell and the better project. And I think they sold in the project in June. So the fact that we look like we were hijacking their deal and then it's come back to us. And I think my problem is it's all well and good. Sometimes you miss out on transfers, but what do we do now? There's no question, there's no answers to these questions because we're running out of options. Just McAtee going to Nottingham Forest, would have liked him.
Big club, mate. Big club.
I know you're European champion, so that's where you're leaving us in the dust. But it's just, you can tell by my tone of voice, I'm just so perplexed, like most Spurs fans who spoke on talkSPORT over the recent 48 hours or so.
I don't blame you, mate. I don't blame you. I'm trying to work out where Spurs fit. You might be able to help me, Rory, in the pecking order, because for Arsenal, of course, it's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And if Arsenal have managed to hijack a Spurs, what are Spurs like, the Flower Girls?
Yeah, it is a statement here, isn't it? I think it is something now that gives us an indication of how the clubs are and the landscape of the clubs. I think Tottenham Tottenham did really well recently. I think since they won in Bilbao, sacking Postecoglou was the right move. Bringing in Thomas Frank was the right move. Palhinha, excellent signing. Kudus, brilliant signing. Signing up Romero for the long haul. Going for Gibbs-White, it didn't go their way, but it was a right, progressive, noble approach to signing the kind of player that they should be signing. And it felt like it was all going really well. And how they have allowed it to happen in the way that it has, and then allowed it to be Arsenal. Like it's sackable, isn't it? Like somebody. I don't know exactly.
This is why I ask about the sort of strength of feeling in the Levy out brigade, because you'd imagine that fans like Sonny, who's incredibly honest,
it was a one-horse race, Max. It was a one-horse race. Over the line. They didn't. There wasn't a bidding war. It was literally one club were going to sign the player. And Eze, I appreciate that he will do well at Arsenal, and I understand why he wants to go there. He's been a lifelong Arsenal fan, and he's obviously had his experiences there previously. But, when Eze was going to Tottenham, it kind of made sense as well. The way Eze plays the game, following in the footsteps of Gaza, Ginola, Gareth Bale, it also made sense. And they fumbled it. It's pathetic. Like, Arsenal fans will be singing about this moment. There will be banners about this moment for decades, generations.
There's already a mural outside the Emirates of Eze in an Arsenal shirt. Yeah, Sonny, where do you go from here? And in terms of players, who is out there that you can realistically go for? Off the top of my mind, I think Harvey Elliott, Morgan Rogers, potentially, players that can play in that position that would benefit and add to the squad. Do you think that that's realistic for Spurs, or is that just paper talk?
I'd love Morgan Rogers. I feel like if the money is there, and we've seen it. It's been the same 60 million that was the same for Morgan Gibbs-White and Eberechi Eze. I'd like to test Aston Villa with that, because we've seen they're struggling PSR and FFP wise. Like, they could probably do with a big sell this summer to keep in line. But apart from that, you're now looking at, I've seen Tyler Dibling priced at some ridiculous fee. But then he's a winger and potential. Harvey Elliott, I think I've touted him for a little while. We could, Leipzig are not the biggest team in Europe. We could go for that. And a name that has also been linked with Spurs, and I'm not sure if you guys are a fay with him, is a guy called Nico Paz at Como, playing under Cesc Fabregas.
I've heard of that.
He came through at Real Madrid. He looks really good. But again, talk of a 70 million euro fee.
And it's got apparently a bit of the Bergvals about it. And I know he's a great young player, but he's not going to there. And we've been talking about as being a needle mover. He's not going to move the needle. Do you know what I mean? And so I do think you need a Rodgers. I do think you need an Elliott. I think Rodgers is a bit of a step up from Elliott. But someone to really sort of put their print on the team straight away. Yeah,
I think that'd be a great signing.
Yeah.
I think it's exactly the kind of signing that they need to go for now. Look, it's not as inspiring as Eberechi Eze, but there is a world where you can present the Harvey Elliott signing as at least as it's not true, but you can pretend it's as good.
A statement.
He's younger. He's won more. He's played with better players. And ultimately, the sell-on value and things like that does matter to a club, particularly like Tottenham. So I think they need to be really bold now. Seriously bold. Wissa and Elliott, sort of thing.
They've got to do a double signing. Sonny, absolute pleasure to speak to you, mate. Thanks for coming on and giving us, I think, a reasonable, honest, calm assessment of what I'm sure has kept you up at night. So thank you so much, mate.
Merry Christmas, you Tottenham lemon.
I didn't press that button. Cheers, Sonny. Right, you're listening to The Social on talkSPORT 2. Next up, we'll get stuck into West Ham and Chelsea ahead of the Graham Potter derby on Friday.